Manchester United are in advanced talks with RB Leipzig over a deal to sign Benjamin Chilwell. Newcastle look like they'll miss out on Chilwell, and they've made Alexander Isach train away from the first-team squad. Liverpool want Isach, and they've agreed to sell Darwin Nunes to Al Hilal in a deal worth up to £56.6 million. Hi, good evening. Welcome along to the Transfer Show. Three strikers at the centre of the intrigue tonight. Our football correspondent Rob Dorset and reporter Dharmesh Sheth are our investigators this evening. Now, find out which Premier League club has made a move for Manchester City's record signing, Jack Grealish. So much to get into then. So, of these three strikers, let's begin with Benjamin Chilwell. We know that Manchester United appear to be leading the race, Dharmesh. Do they have more to do, though?
Yeah, they do. It is developing, though. Talks between Manchester United and RB Leipzig, we are told, are advancing over the signing of that man, Benjamin Chilwell. No full agreement yet between the clubs, but discussions, we are told, are heading in a positive direction. Personal terms for Benjamin Chilwell, not expected to be an issue. Just a reminder of the offer that United had put down. It's £65 million initial payment, plus a further £8.9 million in performance-related add-ons, just shy of around £74 million.
Less than Newcastle's.
Yeah, Newcastle's bid was close to €90 million, which is a little bit more than what Manchester United were prepared to pay. But significantly, Chilwell has made it clear that he wanted to go to Manchester United and not Newcastle United. This is where I think Manchester United have been pretty savvy, pretty clever in this whole approach, because while Newcastle United made their first bid, which was not enough as far as RB Leipzig were concerned, they went in again big with a second bid. Manchester United just stood back. They wanted to know that Chilwell definitely wanted to come to Manchester United before they made their feelings clear about their bid. That's when they went in. And that's when they said, this is what we are prepared to offer. They didn't want to get involved in a bidding war with Newcastle United, because there's no point them getting the okay from the player and then trying to compete with Newcastle United. They wanted to do it on their terms. Chilwell wants to come. This is what we would be prepared to pay. Let the negotiations begin. Because the mantra for Manchester United has been very clear throughout this transfer window. And it's been very clear from Ruben Amorim, even publicly last season, where he said, I only want players who want to play for Manchester United. That was in response to a question, you might not have Champions League. Do you think that's going to impact who you can attract? That's when he said, only players who want United.
I think it's really interesting, though, Mike. It's a unique situation that RB Leipzig have left it to the player to decide where he wants to go. Normally, the selling club would say, listen, we're getting €5 million more from Manchester United, so we've accepted that offer. We haven't accepted Newcastle. They haven't done that in this occasion. They've said to Chilwell, go where you like, as long as they meet our valuation generally. I've never known that before, but it's put a lot of power in Chilwell's hands.
But I think, just very quickly, just on that point Rob's making, it is to do with the relationship that Benjamin Chilwell has with RB Leipzig. He hasn't agitated at all for a move. He's made it clear that Manchester United will be his preferred destination, but he has got enough respect for the club that gave him this opportunity to say, now it's up to you. If you can sort out this deal with Manchester United, then all well and good. He's not going to go and say what's going on constantly. He is just now in that waiting pattern for Manchester United and RB Leipzig to sort out that agreement before he is ready to fly to the UK for that medical and finalise that move.
Explain something to me, Rob. Newcastle have got Champions League football. They're clearly a club on the up, given the evidence of last season. Manchester United, not so much. Why would Chilwell choose Manchester United over Newcastle United?
I think it still talks. I think it speaks volumes about Manchester United's pulling power still as one of the biggest clubs in the world. If you look at Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, Manchester United are right up there with those three. Probably only Real Madrid in terms of commercial popularity and worldwide appeal to top Manchester United. That's still the case. Players still care about that. The contacts that I speak to all the time say that Manchester United still has a special place in the hearts of agents and players when it comes to a possible move, playing at the theatre theatre of dreams at Old Trafford is that little bit special. I agree with you. I think it would have been a great move to go to Newcastle. Eddie Howe, fantastic manager. Newcastle with lots of options, Champions League football, really going places. Manchester United still in the doldrums. But I think from a United fan's perspective, there are signs that things are turning. I mean, look, if they get Šeško at this current price, that's £214.4 million they'll have spent in this window. 10 million more than they managed in the whole of last summer's window. £1.2 billion, by the way, in players since Sir Alex Ferguson left. But I just think it shows that the players have a lot of faith in Ruben Amorim as well. They like what he's done at Manchester United. They like his straight talking. A lot of agents and players I speak to say they think Ruben Amorim can improve them as players and give them the best opportunity to showcase their talents. You add all that into account, and I think it was probably a heart-over-head decision for Šeško in deciding that he would like to go to Manchester United rather than Newcastle.
Also,
not done yet, though. Not done yet.
Yeah, 1 second. I want to bring the Newcastle angle in on this. Let's go to Keith Downey, who's at Newcastle for us. Keith, it looks like Newcastle are going to miss out on Šeško. Does that mean Alexander Isaac stays?
Look, I wouldn't say that's a definite, Mike. We see the situation with Alexander Isaac, and look, it's not good, is it? You see him arriving today. This feels a real frostiness behind the scenes. Eddie Howe said he found out that Alexander Isaac had travelled to Spain for his individual training camp while the rest of the squad were on their pre-season tour of Asia. He found out through the media. So that's not gone down with the Newcastle boss, and that is why he has done what he's done today, which I'll get on to in a second. But with regards to Isaac and a replacement, Newcastle do not want to lose Isaac unless they get a replacement in. Now, it feels as though they're running out of options. The replacement was supposed to be Hugo Ekitike, ironically, of course. He went to Liverpool. One of the other replacements was supposed to be Liam Delap. He, of course, went to Chelsea. And then the replacement was supposed to be Benjamin Chilwell, and it looks as though he's on his way to Manchester United. So it's been a bruising summer for Newcastle. They've missed out in a number of positions to multiple players, and it's been really difficult for them to take. And just interesting listening to you guys talking about it there, with a season ahead where they're in the Champions League and they're off the back of their first ever trophy win in 70 years. It's incredible how difficult this summer has been for them off the back of that. This was supposed to be the summer where they had money to spend and they were set to strengthen for the season ahead. But the Alexander Isak situation is so intriguing because he flew back on Saturday, a day and a half before the rest of the squad. He trained on Monday on his own. He trained yesterday on his own. The rest of the players were off. Eddie Howe and the first team squad were back today for the first time since returning from Asia early on Monday morning. And Eddie Howe took the power back into his hands, and he said, Alexander, don't turn up with the rest of the players to train at 10 o'clock this morning. I want you in at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And Alexander Isak has turned up at the training ground here just over an hour ago, 10 to 4 it was. He pitched up 10 minutes ahead of schedule for his own individual. Is he training? I don't know. Is he recovering from that thigh injury he cited as the reason why he missed the trip to Asia? We're not too sure. Or is he just meeting Eddie Howe? But he was told to report at 4 o'clock today. And ironically, he arrived, Mike, just as the rest of the Newcastle players were leaving, because Eddie Howe put on a team bonding session today for all the players, their families, wives and partners and all their children to come in and enjoy. It's something they do fairly regularly. I remember them having one last summer as well, but I think the timing of this very interesting. A team bonding session on the back of what we've seen and the conduct from Alexander Isak these last 2 weeks, in which every player was invited, all their family and their children, and the only one not invited was Alexander Isak. And just the juxtaposition of Isaac arriving at just 10 to 4 today, just as the rest of the players were leaving, was a very strange sight. And I think it showed just exactly how Eddie Howe feels about the situation. So will he remain a Newcastle United player? He could yet be wearing black and white come the start of the season, absolutely. Or could Newcastle look elsewhere to try and find a ready-made replacement for Alexander Isak? They thought Benjamin Chilwell was that man. It feels like they're running out of options.
Keith, yeah, thank you very much. Seems brutal, that, doesn't it? Like he's on the naughty step. Well, he wants to go to Liverpool. we know that Newcastle want him to stay, but Jamie Carragher has said something interesting today. He's questioned how Isach and Ugo Ekitike would work together. Now, this is what Jamie has said. When you have a top striker like Isach, Haaland, Kane, it's very difficult to have quality backup as they always play. 80 million is too much to pay for a backup. Where does Ekitike get his minutes in his position, not fudging it by putting him on the left? Hard to play together when you spent 115 million on Wirtz. And yes, we do need to buy attackers. Rob, Jamie's got a point there, hasn't he?
Well, he knows his football, Jamie Carragher, and he knows Liverpool better than anybody. Look, he's absolutely right. It feels a bit like fantasy football that Liverpool are playing right now in Arne Slot. Just, if these players are available, go and get them. But as somebody said to me today who's watching this deal from the outside, said, if you can get Alexander Isak, why wouldn't you? Strengthen when you're strong. And these are the reigning Premier League champions. I'm surprised, personally, how many changes Liverpool have made, bringing in Wirtz, bringing in Ekitike, changing both fullbacks after the departure of Trent Alexander-Arnold. Departure of Alexander-Arnold. It feels like it's going to be a very different-looking Liverpool lineup at the start of the season than the one that finished the season when they lifted the Premier League title. So it does seem a little bit strange, but I'm not so sure Carragher's exactly right in saying that you can't play Ekitike and Isaac if they were to get him, because I've looked into it and Ekitike's played quite a lot on the left wing. 9 games he's played there in the last 2 seasons, and you just imagine that as a front three. By the way, Ekitike on the left, Isaac up the middle, Mo Salah on the right, with Florian Wirtz as a number 10 attacking midfielder in behind them. Wow, that could be absolutely explosive. But of course, we also know that Liverpool are going to be competing in 4 different competitions again, so they're going to need those options. We saw Arsenal started the season before last with a lot of striking options, then they got a couple of injuries, and suddenly they didn't have any strikers. Liverpool don't want to be in that position. So, I would not question Jamie Carragher at all. He knows what he's talking about. He's an expert in this area and the club. But I think this is a statement of intent from Arne Slot and for Liverpool if they can get Isaac on top of the business they've already done, and they will find a way, because all of those front players are pretty flexible in where they can play, and boy, what attacking options they would have.
We're going to get, in the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to get much more into what Liverpool are doing, and actually, have they gone too strong when they're in a position of strength anyway? Stay tuned for that. But they probably won't have Darwin Nunes. Tell us.
Yeah, it looks like that deal is going through now to Al Hilal for the sale of Darwin Nunes. Good money Liverpool are getting for him as well. A fixed fee of, you have to say they're doing good business in my opinion. £46.2 million guaranteed, could rise to 56.6, depending on how he gets on in the Saudi Pro League. Our colleagues at Sky in Italy are reporting that they've accepted Nunes' wage demands over there at Al Hilal as well. So we expect this one could go through pretty quickly. He'll head over there for a medical in the next few days. But he's been playing well for Liverpool. This is the irony. 5 goals in pre-season for him. He's been really, really impressive. But if you look at that, we talked about the money Liverpool are spending. Already £240 million this summer. If they get Isaac, 360 million pounds they've spent. Extraordinary. But they've recouped 65 million pounds from Bayern Munich for Luis Diaz, Coman Kelleher to Brentford, 18 million pounds, Gerald Quansah to Leverkusen, 30 million plus 5, another 55 million pounds for Darwin Nunes. Hey, they've got some money in here. Their net spend doesn't look as though it's going to be that high, and they're bringing in some absolutely top quality players.
And not the only players they're looking to sell either, because Harvey Elliott could be on his way out of Anfield as well. He's been given permission to talk to RB Leipzig. Talks are at their early stages at the moment, but if that was to become a permanent deal as well, particularly how he performed in the under-21 Euros over the summer, what price tag would you put on Harvey Elliott? You wouldn't be surprised if it's another 40 to 50 million again for Liverpool to reclaim and then go again in the transfer window. I think RB Leipzig are looking at Harvey Elliott as a potential replacement for Xavi Simons, who looks like he's on his way to Chelsea. But that, again, we'll discuss in the 7, I'm sure. We absolutely will. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk Jack Grealish. He cost £100 million just 4 years ago. Now he looks surplus to requirements at Manchester City. We'll discuss where he might go next on the... Hello again, welcome back to the Transfer Show. We are going to talk Jack Grealish now. There have been developments today. Rob, tell us.
Yeah, Everton have made their move. It's an initial move. It's still in the very early stages, but Everton have made an approach to Manchester City about the possibility of signing Jack Grealish. Details are still pretty scant. Neither of the clubs or anybody involved in the possible deal really wants to tell us too much about it, but it's been made pretty clear to me it's a loan deal that we're considering here. I mean, remember, he cost Manchester City £100 million just 4 years ago. I don't think there's many clubs out there that can afford to buy him outright at the moment. There aren't many clubs that can afford to pay his wages, which I'm told are £300,000 a week. And he's still got 2 years left on his Manchester City contract, so he's not going to want to take a huge cut in wages to go elsewhere. And so I think these discussions, when they do begin with Everton, will be based around, well, how much are Manchester City going to contribute to those £300,000 a week wages? And that might be the sticking point. I suspect that now that Everton have shown their cards to a certain extent, there'll be other Premier League clubs that come in. The quality of player that Jack Grealish is doesn't become available very, very often. We could count on both hands, Mike, right now, the number of Premier League clubs that he would improve, either as number 10 or on the left wing. And so this may be the start of a long summer for Jack Grealish in terms of knowing where his future is going to be, his immediate future. Because the way I'm being told about this situation at the moment is that Manchester City want a big loan fee for him at the moment, and they want whichever club takes him on loan to contribute most of his wages. If we get closer towards the end of the transfer window, those demands may change, and that's when we might see more clubs coming in and showing their interest, because the bottom line is Manchester City don't want Jack Grealish around anymore. He's not part of Pep Guardiola's plans. Won Premier League start last season, didn't play in the Cup final at all.
Didn't go to the Club World Cup.
Didn't go to the Club World Cup, wasn't in the squad with them for that. So you add all that up and it's pretty clear he's not part of Manchester City's plans, but it's not good for Jack Grealish, is it? Sitting on the bench all of the time. He is desperate to play football, especially with the World Cup coming up next summer and trying to attract the attentions of Thomas Tuchel. He's miles off the England squad at the moment, by the way.
So, Dharmesh, Everton's shown their hand for Grealish, and they've done some business today.
Yeah, done deal for Kiernan Dewsbury Hall. Everton have announced that signing. It's an initial £25 million that they're going to pay Chelsea. That could rise to £29 million, depending on performance-related add-ons and whether he meets those conditions. It's only a year ago that he actually signed for Chelsea from Leicester for £30 million. But aside of the successful Europa Conference League campaign where he was a regular, there's only 2 starts in the Premier League. So I think he wants to reboot his career almost. I think he's going to get that opportunity at Everton. He will get more regular first-team football, and he signed a 5-year contract with them.
I thought Maresca would have played him more.
I was surprised he didn't. I was surprised he didn't, because he actually made a big point of wanting to bring him in. Maresca knew him so well at Leicester. He thought that Dewsbury Hall might be a key player for him at Chelsea as he tried to get his footballing philosophy across to a new squad of players. He was going to be like his left-hand man out on the pitch, but he never got that opportunity. Things just didn't kind of work out for him. A quality player, still a very young player. I think Everton have got a really good deal there.
Yeah. Now, Real Madrid forward Rodrigo has been linked with a move away from the Bernabeu. South American football expert Tim Vickery believes the Brazil international could leave Madrid if Xabi Alonso doesn't play him in his preferred position.
Let's watch this space over the next couple of weeks, because this could be interesting. And Rodrigo has the Real Madrid dilemma, doesn't he? That it's hard for players to be top dog there. And he's so talented. He's almost absurdly talented. But someone has to do the hard yards. And, Jude Bellingham said last year that he considered Rodrigo the most talented of all of them and the one who has to sacrifice himself most for the side. Now, where does Xabi Alonso see him? Because he can play anywhere across the front line. Didn't use him very much in the Club World Cup. And when he did, wide right. Now, we know that Rodrigo doesn't really want to play wide right. He would far prefer a free role. Now, what we understand is that he is very keen on staying at Real Madrid and proving to Xabi Alonso that he can be a key part of that side. Over the next 2 weeks, if that doesn't happen, then he may start looking around. And what an asset he would be. It's almost like one of those mafia films when you need to break away and start your own family, because he is so good.
I like that. Dharmesh, there'll be no shortage of suitors, but Arsenal will link with him earlier in the window. Would that be a possibility that could happen again?
Look, what we should say, Arsenal have had a really impressive window so far. Last 6 weeks, 6 players have come in for big money. And I think right now, as far as Arsenal are concerned, for the foreseeable future in this transfer window is focus on sales. They've been talking to Fulham over Reece Nelson. Stuttgart want Fabio Vieira. They'd listened to offers for Alexander Zinchenko and Albert Sambi Lokonga as well, who's still at Arsenal. Could they go back into the market and bring in another player? I think Arsenal will always want to be in a position where if a market opportunity presents itself, they want to be in a position where they can act. This would be some market opportunity if someone like Rodrigo became available. They are keeping an eye on his situation. I can't say anything more than that. And that's the situation with it at the moment. Is it advanced? No, not at the moment. And as Tim said there, his priority at the moment is to stay at Real Madrid. So maybe just one to keep an eye on, but definitely the one that they have looked at during this window.
I think the interesting thing here is how Arsenal and Manchester City in particular, as you'd expect the biggest title challengers to Liverpool, how they react to the very ambitious window that Liverpool are having. If Liverpool get Isaac, do Manchester City and Arsenal go, we've got to respond to this? They're going heads and shoulders above us here in terms of the quality they're signing. And if we want to stay on their coattails and actually challenge for this title, we've got to spend some more money ourselves.
We should also say very quickly that with regard to Arsenal, Noni Madueke has come in. He can play along the front line, and Ethan Nwaneri. He's expected to sign a new long-term contract at Arsenal very, very soon. So they're still quite gifted in that position, I think, Arsenal.
It's interesting. When Darmesh started that, he said Arsenal have had a really good window. In the 7 o'clock transfer show, we're going to say, has it been that good? Has it really improved them? Stay tuned for that. It'll be interesting. Right, when we come back, we're going to talk Arsenal again and their new striker, Victor Gyökeres. We will see him this evening because Arsenal in action against Villarreal. We'll keep you updated with that. Transfer show at 7. Sports Centre next. See you in a bit.